Hello YouTube and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to give you guys a video, a story time video about a moment that changed my life completely. This gave me an entirely different outlook on life. No, it is not the Hurt Bae video. This was a life or death moment for me. So my life in 2017 was pretty life-changing. I went viral. I went to Cosmoprof North America. I became an influencer. I went to a hair show. I did photo shoots. I really boosted my modeling career. Needless to say, this was a pretty crazy year for me, 2017. And now in 2018, a year from what I'm about to tell you, my life changed. January 6th, 2017, my life changed forever. So I don't know if you guys remember the Fort Lauderdale shooting in Fort Lauderdale Airport. There was a army person and he said that he was hearing voices in his head and that he needed help. No one helped him. He ended up going to the Fort Lauderdale Airport, getting his bag out of baggage claim, and going to the bathroom, getting out a gun, and doing something unthinkable. I was there at the Fort Lauderdale Airport. Yes. So I'm going to tell you guys about it. It's been a year since it happened, and now I feel like I can finally talk about it. So if I sound like I'm joking, it's like a nervous little joke because it was very traumatizing. So I started off in Cuba. My friends and I went to Cuba for New Year's Eve, and we're like, oh, like we can finally go to Cuba from the US, like we've got to go. We decided to take like a week and a half. We had like the best time, saw the beach, we went hiking through like this water terrain thing. We saw like museums. We saw all kinds of things. We did like an art class because we stayed at a Airbnb and they had like this art activation that we did. It was amazing. So on the way back, my friends had a different flight from me because I waited to get my flight. Yeah, I won't be doing that again. And I had to do a layover. So my layover was in Fort Lauderdale. So we're going back. They have a straight flight to New York. And then one of my friends was going to DC. So they had straight flights and I had a layover. So I'm in Fort Lauderdale Airport at my layover and I get on FaceTime with my mom. And I'm like, Mom, like, let me tell you all about Cuba. Like, I didn't have Wi-Fi, so I couldn't really tell you, but like, let me tell you all about it. So I'm telling her about like my amazing time in Cuba for New Year's. And then all of a sudden I get a CNN alert, just like pops down my phone. And it's like, shooting at the Fort Lauderdale Airport. And I'm like, excuse me? I'm at the Fort Lauderdale Airport. So I'm like, Mom, like, I just got the CNN alert. Like, it just says that, there's a shooting at the Fort Lauderdale Airport. And I'm sitting here. And she's like, oh, like, that's fine. Like, oh, I didn't even see that. I'm like, Mom, I'm at the Fort Lauderdale Airport. And she's like, oh my God. So she's at a hair salon. She's getting her hair done. She's like, what's going on? Like, I'm sure she looked so crazy because, she's in public and she's worried, a state away from me. And I'm like, yeah. So then I get another CNN alert and it's like, dude, everything's all clear. Like, everything's been taken care of. Like, I guess he's gone or they cleared the situation, whatever. Now, I don't know what happened between the situation has been clear alert and what I'm about to tell you, because there was a bit of a disconnect. I don't know. 5 minutes after this, I'm like eating a burrito at this Mexican restaurant while I'm on FaceTime. I'm like, like, that's so crazy. Like, I guess they said they deactivated the situation. Like, thank God. Because, that's crazy. Like, I got to get to New York. I got to get home. All of a sudden, I'm eating my burrito on FaceTime with my mom. And I have my phone on this iRing. So it's a ring that's connected to my phone to where it won't fall off. It'll just stay connected to my finger. So I'm talking to my mom on FaceTime. with the eye ring on. And then all of a sudden I hear, "Oh my God, he's coming." And I was like, what? 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 Yeah, so he's coming. All I remember is my earphones flew out of my head. My hand still connected to the FaceTime. I see people ducking and diving and running, and I'm freaking out. I go into panic mode. I just run. I see this like open door to, I don't know if you know where you get on the plane, you have to like give the lady your ticket and then you can walk down the ramp. There's an open door where I guess people were boarding, and it's just this mass of people just running out the door. And it's kind of far from me. So I'm like, yo, I've got to make this run to that door to save my life. So I'm running to the door. I see like old people getting trampled. I see like, it was ridiculous. Like it was the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. So I'm like, I've got to get to that door to save my life. So I get to the door. As soon as I get right in front of the door, I sweat. Like I just fall all over the place. And of course, someone offered me a hand to get up. Like, come on. No. I got myself up because no one was like, hey, let me help you up. It's like do or die. So get your ass up. Got my ass up. And so yeah, my friends had a direct flight and I'm just like by myself. What do I do now? I'm like, Mom, my phone is about to die. I need to call you on a regular phone. I can't FaceTime you. Because if I FaceTime you, my battery's going to go down even more. I don't have my phone charger. It's inside. All my stuff is inside. I just left. Like I left my bag, my computer, everything. So she's like, okay, call me right back. So I call her right back. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to do. She's like, stay with all the people. We threw away my dad and we're all on the phone and they're just like, you know, stay calm. Like you're okay. Do you see anybody like that you could like talk to? I'm like, I'm afraid to talk to everybody because I don't know who has the gun or like who. Yeah, so we're outside on the tarmac, on the runway of the airport, where I never thought I'd go. So yeah, I've been on the runway of an airport. Anyway, I find this older woman. Her name is Miss Cassandra. She was like a saving angel. She was so nice to me. I was in a corner crying, and she's like, yo, like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, yeah, like, I'm fine. I'm just like alone, and I don't really know. Like, I just got shot at. And yeah, so she's like, no, like you're okay. Do you have family here? I'm like, no. So I'm like calling. My mom and my dad find a family friend that lives in Orlando. So he's going to pick me up when we can leave. Thank God. Or who lives in Fort Lauderdale. So she's being so nice to me. She's like, are you hungry? And I'm like, no, not really. I just ate. An hour goes by. Another hour goes by, another hour goes by. And I'm like, yeah, hey, I'm a little hungry now. And she's like, oh, like perfect. Like I have this fish sandwich. And I'm like, this is crazy. Because I don't eat beef. I don't eat pork. This lady has a fish sandwich. Like, what? I was like, oh my God, thank you. Like, who would have thought that you would have a fish sandwich out of all of the sandwiches in the world? You could have had a Philly cheesesteak and I would have been like, I can't eat that. But yeah, so she really helped me out. My mom ended up sending her a care package because she was so nice to me. Thank you, Miss Cassandra, if you're watching this. That was so nice of you. I have not forgotten you a year later. Yeah, so then we can finally leave. It's been like 7 hours. We can finally go back inside. Go back inside and it's these like G.I. Joes with like huge army guns and like military guns. And that's a little aggressive. We just were shot at and now you have these big guns and they're like, yeah, just keep moving. So I'm like, that's my stuff. Like, can I just please grab it? It's like my ID, my money. I'm, in Orlando. I live in New York. Like, I don't have my check bag. All I have is that over there. Like, can I just grab it? This nice policeman was like, yeah, you can grab your stuff. I played up the whole story. I was like, yeah, like this is my grandma and we have to get to where we're going and we can't get anywhere if I don't have my money. Miss Cassandra was not my grandmother, but she was that day. So I got my stuff. My family friend, Eric, thank you so much, Eric, for coming to get me. came to get me. It's like midnight at this point, and he's like, oh, like you can stay with me. And my dad just so happened to be in Orlando, Florida, which was like 4 hours away, 3 hours, something like that. And he was at my sister, who was 7 years old at the time. She was at her national cheer competition. So she's like getting ready to do her national cheerleading competition. And my dad is there, and he's like, I'm going to drive and come get you. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. So my dad is coming to get me. My dad came to get me the next day. Literally, when I see him, I start bawling, crying. I'm just like, oh my God. He's like, I couldn't imagine. We didn't want to get you on the next flight, like to stay here for a day and chill out. I was like, okay. So moral of the story is trust the process, because then I was able to see my little sister at her first national cheer competition after coming from a beautiful trip to Cuba. And I wouldn't have been able to go if this hadn't have happened. But it gave me a whole new outlook on life. Like, I will never think, oh, I'll just wake up tomorrow, like everything's gonna be fine. No, I'm more aware of like life. I feel like life is so precious. I think like 6 people lost their lives that day, and I was not one of them. So I am very aware, appreciative. I thank God every day. Thank you, Lord. Then I had to get on the airplane to go back home. So that was a story in itself. I had to go back to the airport the next day after my sister's cheerleading competition and go in the airport. And I was shaking. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen. My dad had to walk me in like a child. I mean, and then as soon as I got in the line, like I just started bawling. And you don't know how things affect you until you have to go through it again. So going back to the airport, I was like, I'll be fine. I mean, I was terrified to get on the flight. And once I got on the flight, it was just like shaky, like turbulence the whole flight. I was like, please just get me back to New York. Got back to New York. Everything is fine. It's been a year since this has happened to me, and I thought I'd share my story. Hopefully this has touched you in some way. I just thought I'd get this off my chest, because Hurt Bay wasn't the only crazy thing that happened to me in 2017. It started off crazy. It started off in Cuba. Then it started off at a Fort Lauderdale shooting in January. Then in February, I went viral. So yeah, 2017 was a pretty crazy year, and that is what happened. Subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys for listening. See you guys next time.